No. Okay, we're on. Good. There was some glitch in the interface there. I took the risk of refreshing the page, and it seemed to have worked this time. Okay, sorry that we're a bit late starting, but we're here now, and we're doing the series on the Bharamis, and we're up to number 8 today, which is Adhitthana, resolution. The parami of Adhitthana means determination and resolve, a steadiness to continue on a task and see it through to completion. This is something that, in my experience, was emphasized quite a lot in the Thai tradition. We would talk about making an adhitthana, which in the Thai context, it means something like a vow, like you would take on a special practice for a period. You make an adhitthana. I'm going to do 4 hours of meditation every day. That would be an adhitthana. And like all the other paramis, the adhitthana parami is strengthened by practice, and it's weakened by by failing. So it's very important, if you make a determination to do something, that you carry it through. And this has some important implications for our life and for our practice. One is that one should not make a adhitthana lightly. You should be careful that if you make a determination to do something, that you're actually able to do it. It's very bad for your spiritual development if you fail at a determined task. And I see this comes up often for people on meditation retreat, that someone makes a commitment to do a meditation retreat of whatever length of time, 2 weeks or 3 months or whatever it might be. If they leave the meditation early, that's a very bad move. That does a lot of damage to your progress. If you quit a meditation retreat early, no matter how difficult it's going, you're better off just sticking through to the end of the time, because then you strengthen the adhitthana bharami. Otherwise, you weaken it. And what happens in practice after that is that every time you come up against a difficulty, you'll just give up. You really should take an attitude when you make a commitment to do something, and particularly a meditation retreat, that you don't give yourself an escape route. You say, okay, it's 2 weeks meditation. There's no way out. I'm going to stick and do it no matter what, whether it's wonderful and blissful or whether it's extremely difficult, painful. I'm here for 2 weeks. That's it. And you'll find if you stick to your determinations that you strengthen this power of resolve, this adhitthana parami, and then it becomes easier in the future, and you gain a kind of inner strength to be able to push through difficulties. And this applies to more trivial things in our daily life as well. It's kind of a trope that people make all kinds of ambitious New Year's resolutions and then break them before the middle of January. That's definitely to be discouraged. Now, don't make a resolution of any kind unless you're willing to follow it through. But if you do follow it through, and especially if it's difficult and you persevere through the difficulty, that strengthens the parami. The Buddha, when he was a bodhisattva and developing his paramis, and this is one of the features or characteristics of the paramis, is that a bodhisattva develops all 10 to perfection. And this is something that's different between a Buddha and an Arahant. The Arahant will have very strong paramis, but doesn't necessarily have all 10 to perfection. But the bodhisattva develops them to absolutely heroic levels. There's one text that talks about the bodhisattvayana, the path of the bodhisattva. When one makes a commitment to practice for Buddhahood, which is much longer and more arduous than going for arahantship, but it's done out of great compassion. If one's determined to be a Buddha, that takes great resolution, great adhitthana to carry it through. And the text says, if you really want to be a Buddha and someone told you before you can even take the first step on the path, you have to crawl on your belly for a yojana across sharp broken gravel, you would leap down onto your stomach and start crawling. No time to waste. Let's get going. And this kind of heroic determination is evidenced by the Buddha at his final sit before his enlightenment, when he made the Adhitthana, here I will sit until I reach full enlightenment, even if my flesh and blood dry up and there's nothing left but skin and bones, I'll sit here. This kind of Adhitthana is the pinnacle, this like absolute extreme heroism and courage of this Adhitthana, something taken seriously. Whereas many modern people would give up because they're feeling a bit bored or twitchy. Oh, well, I'll try again another day. And every time you make a determination to do something, and this also, don't forget, applies to ordinary mundane things in the life. You might make an adhitthana to change your diet or to exercise more or to be more diligent at work or what it might be. Every time you make an adhitthana and you carry it through, that strengthens the parami, and you gain in determination, and you gain in inner strength to be able to carry through difficult tasks. Every time you break an adhitthana, it makes you weaker and have less ability to persevere through difficulty. It's also comes up particularly in the Jataka stories, that the Adhitthana Bharami, when it's developed to a very high level, as the Bodhisattva developed it, it becomes actually a kind of super normal power. And that if one never breaks a determination and absolutely steadfast in face of any difficulty, then one can achieve things beyond the normal. There's a story, for example, one example out of many, there's a story when the Bodhisattva was reborn as a monkey, and he was the chief monkey of a large troop of monkeys, and they went to drink from a pool. And they were all very thirsty. It was a dry season, and they found this pool of water, and they went down to drink from it. But they discovered that the Bodhisattva, the chief monkey, discovered, and he held the rest back, because what he discovered was that there were footprints of animals going down to the water, but none coming back. And he said there must be a yaka living in that pool, and the yaka could only catch us if we drink from the water. So he took a reed growing in the ground and picked it up, and with his great powerful lungs, he blew the joints out of the reed to make a hollow straw. And then he made an Adhitthana. This is a example of using Adhitthana as a supernormal power, which only works because he perfected the Adhitthana Parami. He made the resolution, may all the reeds growing in this patch, may they all be hollow. And by just the power of that resolution, they all became hollow, and all the monkeys could take them and use them like straws to drink out of the water. And in his last life as Gautama, when he left the home life and he left the city of Rajagaha outside the town gates, he cut off his long hair and he said, if I am to attain supreme awakening in this life, I'm going to throw this hair in the air, and if I'm to attain supreme enlightenment, then may it not fall back to the earth. And so it did. It hung in the air, and later Devas came and took it up to heaven and put it in a stupa. But this was the power. This is said to be the power of his Adhitthana Parami. And we can see that the Bodhisattva carried through in his 6 years of austerities. He went through extreme austerities without flinching. This is due to the power of his Adhitthana Parami. So it's something very worthwhile developing, and you find it invaluable in daily life if you've got a strong resolution and determination to carry through a task. This is kind of stick-to-itiveness and not giving up when things are a bit difficult, but persevering through. And you'll get a lot more accomplished, and you'll be a much better person if you develop this this parami. It's a very, very important quality. And you find it works internally as well in the mind. Like when you're practicing meditation, if you have a determination is one of the factors that can help you to maintain focus on the object. A strong determination to develop samadhi and be steadfast in not succumbing to the temptations of wandering mind or sense objects. Adhitthana is often compared to something steadfast and immovable, like a mountain. We say there's a common colloquialism in English, as steady as the rock of Gibraltar. It's the same idea, like a big steady mountainous mass that can't be moved. That's the type of mind you're trying to develop with this parami, not one that's easily swayed or easily pushed off course. When you determine on a road, you stick to it, you carry on. It has a relation to the Satya Parami, the Parami of truth, because when you make a vow or a promise and you carry it through, then you're practicing both Satya Parami and Adhitthana Parami. So you should first of all not make promises lightly, and secondly, when you make a promise, you should always keep it, irregardless of the difficulty or changing circumstances. You should regard it as a bond. There's also a technical use of the word Adhitthana in the Vinaya. And for example, when monks acquire a new robe, they do a little chant and determine it. This is an Adhitthana, that this is now determined as a robe, and then it has a special status. It's not just a piece of cloth. This determination. And that means that you will regard that afterwards as a robe, and you will treat it with the requisite respect and the duties around taking care of requisites. So the Adhitthana Parami is like all the paramis. It's a you might say spiritual capital. It's a quality that you can strengthen over time, and that carries forward. And every time you develop it further, then it's stronger for the next time around, and it's carries on from lifetime to lifetime, that you'll come into your next existence with this set of spiritual powers that from the paramitas that you have developed in this lifetime. And if people have what seems like natural gifts in this lifetime of one of the paramis, like they're very determined naturally, or they're very truthful, then this is an indication that they developed this parami previously, and that they're taking it forward from a past life. But you can also diminish your paramis by going against them, by doing the opposite. In the case of the Adhitthana Parami, it would be breaking a resolution, giving up. Every time you give up, then you lose some of your Adhitthana Parami, and it will become more difficult the next time to persevere. And every time you manage to stay steadfast throughout a difficulty, just carry on and complete the task set, then you strengthen that Adhitthana Parami, and you'll make it easier the next time in similar circumstances. So I think I'll stop there and go for questions now. Yeah, Dhamma River says technical difficulty should have been included in the description of dukkha. Yes, the dukkha of the internet. Okay, first question. How to strike a balance between determination and our own potential? Do we need to plunge ourselves into traumatic, difficult situations intentionally to enhance our Adhitthana Parami, risking mental health? No, I would say not. This is a caution to be made, is that you should use this this practice with some discretion. Don't take on an Adhitthana you can't carry out. Don't if you know it's going to be too difficult, don't set yourself up as a as a vow that you're going to do it anyway. I think it's you have to find a balance. I think the perfect sweet spot is to find something that will just push your envelope a little bit. Just go outside your comfort zone a little bit and grow you as a person, but not something that's so horrendous and onerous that it's going to uh, make a wreck of you. I'm getting a message on here from the YouTube that the connection is bad, so I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, I'll keep going and just see. Hopefully, it stays up. What if one figures out the things they have great resolve was not really a good idea? Well, then that's unfortunate. You shouldn't have made that resolve in the first place. That's what I said. Be careful about the resolves you make. But if you've once having made a resolve, you should carry it through. If one works for the enlightenment of other beings instead of one's own, would that be a bit like not following through on your resolution, since suffering beings in samsara is said to be endless? This is touching on the doctrinal differences between Mahayana and Theravada. But I would say as a general rule here that always the most important task is to clean up your own mess. To work on your own mind and your own being. Clean up your own defilements. Because if you're endlessly trying to help others and not yourself, then you're not really going to be able to help them. It doesn't do them any good if you're all messed up yourself. You have to develop your own being first and foremost. And helping other beings is important, but it's secondary to that task. Goenka's Vipassana retreats has something called Adhitthana sessions, or sittings of strong determination where nobody is allowed to move a muscle for 1 hour. They're very difficult, but very useful. Yeah, that is an example of an Adhitthana in practice. If you make, and I know they do this in Goenka retreats as a regular part of the practice, but this is something that's probably, it's difficult, but it's within the reach of most people. If you make a determination that you're not going to move at all for a certain period of time, no more than an hour, even if you just try it for a lesser period than 20 minutes, just to begin with, that could be a useful way of developing Adhitthana parami. Is practicing dana from one's income on a regular basis part of developing Adhitthana? It can be, if you make a resolution that I'm going to give X percent of my earnings every month to the needy, and you carry that through, even if 1 month you find yourself a bit short of cash and it means you're going to have to go without something, you still do it. That's developing your Adhitthana. And this is another example of developing two paramis at once, because you're also developing your dana parami, the parami of giving. Next question, is a resolution binary, as in achieved or not achieved? E.g., resolving to sit longer than before, but falling 5 minutes short. I would say the short answer, basically it is, I would say, binary. You either achieve it or not. Like if you determine to sit for 60 minutes, but you give up after 55, then you haven't completed that resolution. So you've weakened your Adhitthana parami. person who is fully liberated can withstand toxic substance and people. Well, certainly toxic people, definitely. But it's also in the for what it's worth, in the Visuddhimagga, it's said that one in jhana is immune to fire, poison, and swords, and they give a number of examples of that. Does a bodhisattva become aware of his resolution in every life? No. There's a mix, I think, in the Jataka stories. If you study the Jataka stories, there's many of the stories where he's aware that he's a bodhisattva, but there's other ones where he's not, but he still carries those moral qualities forward. That may be this is a bit of speculation, but it may be that the further he goes along the path of the hundreds of lifetimes, the stronger his mindfulness develops, and he remembers more of his condition. So we're coming to the end of the series of Baramis. We got 2 more. Next week is Metta. So then we'll have to think of something else to do a series on. I kind of like this idea of doing a series on a topic. Is supporting elders during old age part of Adhitthana? Yes, I would say that that there's a kind of a category of Adhitthana that's Vata Adhitthana, that is resolution towards duties. That if you have a duty like taking care of your elderly parents, that the determination to carry that through is a Adhitthana paramita. It seems that each of us might be under a heavy burden of vows from past lives for good or ill. What, if anything, can be done about this? There's not much you can do because you don't know what the vows were. If you've made vows in a past life, it could affect you if you should be very careful about taking any kind of a vow that is open-ended like that. Like, may I never do such and such in all my future lives. Then if you end up doing it in your future life, you'll have extra heavy karma from it. Be very careful about you should always be very mindful and careful about taking any kind of vow. They can be very useful if they're taken mindfully and properly. And it's probably good to always have a grandfather clause, like take a vow for a year or for 3 months or something. Can Adhitthana be strengthened through unwholesome resolution actions? No, this is actually specifically stated that no, it's only as a paramita, it's only developed through wholesome determinations. Practicing morality should also be part of Adhitthana. Yes, that's true too. This is another case of 2 Adhitthanas working together. There's the sila, or 2 paramitas working together. There's the sila paramita, which is keeping good morality, but the formal expression of morality in Buddhism is taking the precepts. And when you take the precepts, it's kind of a vow. It's an Adhitthana you're making to keep those precepts. Would a firm resolution that invokes changing other people for what you think is the better be opposite from the factors of metta and upekkha? Yeah, I would not recommend that. Having a determination to change other people that's way too fraught with possible dangers, and it's putting yourself ahead and putting yourself on a pedestal and above others in that way. It's not healthy. Should Adhitthana be made public? No. As a general rule, no. It's probably better not to. In some cases, it's actually recommended specifically not to do it. In the section in the Visuddhimagga on the sitter's practice, which is where you take an Adhitthana for a period of time, never to lie down, but to always either stand or sit, it's specifically stated that you should keep that secret and not tell others. And the reason being that you don't want to take on those kind of austerities as a way of showing off. Like, look at me, look what I can do. Can it be strengthened with neutral worldly resolutions? Yes, yeah, right. Practical things like Adhitthana to do some job or some exercise. Yeah. Are you based in Outer River Forest Hermitage? Yes, I've been based here for 25 years. Should one feel like a loser if one doesn't achieve one's resolution due to extreme external factors? Well, that's less of a. You shouldn't feel like a loser. I mean, that's stupid. But that's less of a detriment than if you just give up lightly. But it's more of a gain if you persevere through extreme external factors and succeed anyway, and then it's an extreme gain. Can an arahant still make resolutions? I don't think he needs to. I don't think it really applies. He just carries on. The developing the paramis is something that we do to attain to the state of arahant. It's not something an arahant really needs to do. There's nothing further to gain from it. Is it true that long periods of meditation are not recommended for people who went through trauma or are depressed? I don't think a long period of meditation is really good for someone who's depressed. I don't think that's the best treatment for depression. Some meditation can help. If someone's depressed, meditations that brighten the mind, like metta or contemplation of devas, are very useful, done judiciously. But what is the main thing that really helps people who are depressed is to do some service, to get out and help others. Because depression is actually, in the end, it's a very self-centered state of mind. You say, oh, woe is me. And getting out of oneself and also just being physically active is very useful for someone depressed. As for someone who's been through trauma, that meditation can actually help to resolve that in their mind, but it has to be very carefully approached, and starting off small and working into it. But it can actually be a benefit for resolving traumas in the mind. On occasion, when the Mahayana Bodhisattva vow was made in a group, I've spoken the words yet consciously excluding by remaining silent during the portion that till the end of time. Mentally rejected sticking around to the end of samsara is what I did, protective of that impossible burden. Yeah, I'd say so. I've also heard another approach to that is like I knew one senior monk who we were in a group and we were getting actually it was a teachings given by the Dalai Lama, and he part of the ceremony on the last day he had everybody take the bodhisattva vows, and one of the senior monks took it, and I was kind of surprised, and he explained it that in his mind, once you become fully enlightened yourself, then you see the Buddha nature in everybody. So you understand that everybody's already enlightened, and there's no need to carry on. There was someone who was a Tibetan follower said that sounds like taking the bodhisattva vows with your fingers crossed. It's another aspect to that too, is that in theravada, you can make a bodhisattva vow but it means something a little different. It means carrying on till Buddhahood. But it's only considered to be really permanently binding. You can always revoke it at any time. It's only considered permanently binding if you make it before a living Buddha, which is one of the meanings of what the title of the Buddha is Bhagawa, the Blessed One, because he'd been blessed by a previous Buddha. Why don't you use existential therapy for trauma? I'm not sure. I don't know what existential therapy is. Are you Theravada or Vajrayana? I'm Theravada. You see the Buddha nature? Well, we don't use that language normally. That's a Mahayana phrase, Buddha nature. But I think the concept is something that that we can also see, and that in the purity of the unencumbered chitta, the pure knowing. That pure knowing is inherent in all sentient beings and is only obscured by defilement. Do you have any ideas of the next series? No. Some monks have seriously hurt themselves by attempting to meditate for long periods of time without changing posture to the point of needing knee surgery. Yes, that's true. I know that that's happened. He would not move until reaching enlightenment. How should one interpret this? Well, this is an absolutely extreme example. This is a bodhisattva who has developed his qualities, his paramis and other qualities for hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes. It's it's a do not try this at home kind of thing. Once you've developed your paramis for hundreds of lifetimes, then you can try it. What sutta do you use for bodhisattva vows? The Buddha was blessed for cleaning the hand, for cleaning by hand instead of magic. there isn't really a sutta on Bodhisattva vow. There's a commentarial text about it. Oh, geez, I don't know what to make of this question. I almost hate to ask you this because you are authority of higher regard. Do you think dependent origination crushes the concept of critical race theory? I don't know if I really want to get into that. The difference between them is dependent origin. I'll just say this in short. The difference between them is dependent origination is a statement of reality, and critical race theory is delusional. Probably got myself in all kinds of trouble with that. Can the Buddha only be a man? Can you explain why? Yes, the Buddha can only ever be male, and the reason is kind of interesting. The reason given in the commentary is because of the 32 marks of a great man. One of them is a peculiarity of the penis, and since a woman has no penis, she can't have the 32 marks of a great man, so it's not possible for a woman to be a Buddha. Would you recommend flexibility in objects of meditation or resolve to one object when practicing samadhi? I would think it's better to stick with one object. You can experiment and try different objects, but if you're going to develop deep samadhi, you're going to carry it through. You got to kind of stick with one object. How do you strengthen Adhitthana for one who has gone through trauma, like helping others? I think that for someone who has gone through a trauma and they're having trouble resolving it in their mind, they have to find some way to come to terms with it internally. Now, this is different than depression. Like if you have traumatic experiences, you've got to learn to resolve them and deal with them internally, and it could be a long, difficult journey, but it has to be something that's done. It could be a combination of therapy and meditation. Does attainment in jhana trump all morality training in terms of merit? Yeah, it does in a way, but if you don't have good morality, you're going to find it very difficult to develop jhana, because the mind will always be troubled. You have to have a peaceful mind to develop jhana, and you get one of the ways of getting that is living an ethically clean life, so you're not troubled with regrets and remorse. But it is a higher merit because it leads to rebirth in the Brahma world, whereas morality only leads the highest to the Deva world. In Myanmar, they will experience trauma and mental sickness for generations to come. I think many people are like that. Nice to see you, but my connection is bad. Yeah, that's always bad here too. How is trauma different from depression, as the former can lead to the latter? Well, depression doesn't necessarily always come from trauma. And one is a cause and the other is an effect. Trauma is a state of mind, or depression is a state of mind. Trauma is an event in the past. Existential therapy can cure these sicknesses. Buddhism is silent to mental sickness. What meditation do you recommend to end mental sickness? Well, it's too broad of a term, mental sickness. It's not. And it is true that the Dhamma is really, the Buddha spoke the Dhamma for those with little dust in their eyes. It's really meant for taking people who are at a normal level of mental health into higher states of consciousness. It's not really a therapy for those who have deep problems, although it can help. I think that in some cases, external intervention is more useful. Is it right to practice Adhitthana for cultivating deeds that lead to birth in Dewa realms? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not the highest goal, but it's reasonable. Myanmar does not have too much dust in their eyes, do they? Well, I don't think you can make a blanket statement about a whole country like that. I think there's a lot of very good people in Myanmar. Thank you, Ajahn. Thanks also for recommending Thanissaro Bhikkhu's Buddhist Romanticism. Yeah. Now, okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you all for being here, and we will meet again next week. Yeah.